Hello, hello, hello.
Hi, hello.
Hi, Justina. Hello, how are you?
I'm fine, thanks. And you?
Yes, I'm fine. Thank you. How is how is your studies going, Everstar?
Sorry?
How is your studies setting up? Doing well?
Whew, I would say so. I mean,
Yeah.
when you were at the university, you're kind of used to this whole like studying routine. But
Mm-hmm.
when you leave university, it's first of all, it's difficult to get back, and second of all, especially when you have family. And I have
Yeah,
two
I
little
know.
kids, and
I
it's
know.
just impossible to do anything.
Yeah, yeah. So what you must do is, don't take too much of stress onto you. Just think it's like working inside the Everstar company. You have a problem coming up. Look at all, but possible common sense as much as possible. Try to work on little theories what you know. Just go like that and see, God is there. God can do wonders.
Okay. Well,
But
it's kind of was my thinking anyway.
yeah, pardon?
It was my thinking anyway. I mean,
Yeah. I think that's what you must do. Don't take too much of pressure because we do our best. Let God do the rest. That kind of a uh, uh, attitude we must have, and that kind of a belief also we must have. He knows what is best for all of us at what time. Right. So basically, we were looking at 2 marks on the acquisition of Hero. The first part of the first 60 minutes was all about, about the risk of acquisition, the benefits of acquisition, all that kind of a thing. That was what the first part was talking about. Then we had the second 60 minutes. It was something, if I remember right, it was about the second section. It was about dealing with the risk. That was the first section. Yeah, the valuation of shares, and that kind of a thing, because they basically, if they were considering taking this company, in that case the valuation and what kind of a valuation we should be using, and also the ethical risk involved in certain areas. Today, we are moving into the third part of this section. So by this time, you would have learned it's a continuity from section 1 to section 2 to section 3. Very rarely you will get 3 different scenarios. In fact, I never seen. It's always a continuity. So what is important is whatever you have written in the section 1 should not be contradicted in section 2, should not be contradicted in section 3. It's like as if you are working in office. One day they come and ask you about acquisition of Hero. You say yes. Second day you can't completely forget that one and say no. Unless you have very good reasons, in that case you must say why I said yes and why I'm saying no. Something like that. Today
okay.
we are on to the third part of it, the third 60 minutes. So it's always 3 sections of 60 minutes in the strategic case study. So let's look at the third one, which I sent it in the morning. Let's look at this one. Here 3 months have passed since you first heard of the proposal to expand to Qland. So it takes time. You have to understand these strategic decisions are not routine decisions which happens on a day-to-day basis. You are the senior manager in charge of special projects. So these things are not happening on regular basis. They are ad hoc. It will happen and then wait for some time. Again, it comes up. It's like that. So one thing, when you are working in that kind of a structure, you have to have lot of patience. You can't be, forcing things. It takes lot of time. The directors, they at times, when they have diverse views, it takes lot of time for them to get settled down, to arrive at a consensus, all that kind of a thing. Denny White had just called you into his office and closed the door. He advises that he has something exciting but confidential news to tell you. Now, this is a very good point I want you to raise. Something very confidential when your CEO, the chairman calls and says, hey, Justina, it's very confidential. When you are writing back cursor, you must on top put the tag confidential. Very important. Because that's the way you show your professionalism. You remember we are CIMA members. We have to maintain the confidentiality. These little things carry marks. When you put that confidential, I'm sure it is going to carry you 1 or 2 marks extra than the other students. And also in the body of the mail, you must assure the confidentiality. You must give the confidence. He's having confidence on you to open up a chat, and whatever he's going to discuss, you must ensure that you maintain confidentiality, even to the extent of saying, if you have time, to say, in accordance with CIMA Code of Ethics, I'm bound to maintain confidentiality of all what I discussed with you, and I assure that kind of a thing, little extra mark for you all the time. Right. So I'm so pleased to tell you at yesterday's our board meeting, our board approved to acquire Hiru company. So you can see how confident he is in you. Just yesterday's meeting, they're taking a big strategic decision, and now maybe one of the first to convey the message is calling you and saying, hey Justina, we have decided at yesterday's board meeting. I'm sorry to drag you away from your normal work, but I'm sure you will realize what a huge task lies ahead of us with this acquisition. You remember the problems of money, the problems of cultural risk, the problems of business risk, all sorts of things were there. So now suddenly they have decided, not suddenly, after 3 months they have decided, maybe they take a lot of time to consider all that, and now they have decided. So one thing, even if you have disagreed with their decision earlier, now once the company has decided, you must support that decision. Or with all your reservations, you must support, because maybe you are against, but the board has now decided, you are working for the board, so you must give your full support from now onwards, even though you may not agree on many things. So I'm sure you will realize what a huge task. I need your assistance on a number of issues which have been raised by board members. So obviously you can see, when in a situation like this, the board will raise many issues. So here they are talking some other things. Some of our board members are not sure whether our workers need to be informed of this acquisition, as they believe it does not affect employees directly. Personally, I don't agree. I would like your advice on why we should communicate. So this is your first task. You have to decide. Your boss thinks it's not necessary. The Denny thinks, not your boss, not your immediate boss, but your big boss thinks it is. He thinks it is necessary, but some of the board members thinks it is not necessary to communicate. So first thing is on why we should communicate this decision. And then the second task is with the word and, what information should board present to our employee. So the first two tasks we can see, it's coming up in the body of the main conversation we had. Why we should communicate, what information should be communicated about why we have decided to undertake this major acquisition. I would also like you to identify the risks involved in the process of integrating Hiru employees into Eversa's strong company ethos and culture. So that's the third task. Lastly, I would like your advice on how these integration challenges could be overcome. So you can see there are 4 tasks here. Now this is your number 1 skill in the case study, to identify the tasks. You can see it's not given very straight away like in the exam paper saying prepare this thing or do something or like that. Reading the thing, you have to look at what I have to answer. That is number 1 important. So we know the 4 things. First of all, why we should communicate, what information, if at all, should be communicated. Then risk involved in integrating their employees and our employees. and also finally how these challenges could be overcome. So here in this particular section, we don't have any reference material. I'm sorry to put you under pressure, but I need a report on this within the next hour as I have a meeting with the board later today. Thanks so much. I really appreciate your help and support. Always in these case studies, one last sentence you can always write and probably get half a mark, 1 mark, is to say within the limit, within the limited time given, I have worked out, but if you need more kind of assistance, I'm always willing to work on this project or matter or issue or whatever it may be. Because you have to remember, when we write, we must say that we had only very limited time. 60 minutes is very limited time and a very strategic decision. You must cover yourself. Later on, after 5 years, no one should be saying, just in a give information and you know that information is not adequate. You must always cover up yourself and say, it was just only 1 hour I had. It's not a criticism. It's not something, you know, coming badly, but just to cover up yourself. In reality, this is what we should do. I remember I was working in a company, it was a government institution, and the president of the country wanted a report within 1 hour. And I had to do it within 1 hour, and you know, doing it in 1 hour, it's not very, you don't have all the information, everything, you have to rush it through and do it in 1 hour, but you have to do the best because the president is asking something. So after doing all that, I wrote that thing saying, madam, I just had only 1 hour time and therefore it may not be a very comprehensive report, but surely if you need any more, I'm always willing to work hard. 5 years went back later, a new government came into power and this particular report was taken and, you know, I was asked why you wrote all these things, why you didn't do this, why you didn't do that. The only thing the Prime Minister of the country told, Kumar has very well covered up by saying it is just 1 hour he had. If I had not written that one, I may not be here today. You know, we have to understand the politics mentality in the boards and all that. So we being professionals, we must always cover up. So in this case study, every time when you write, I always advise my students, just write that one. It's a very, very interesting para to write and you will probably get marks on that. Okay, so now we come.
So basically, if I understand correctly now,
yes,
when I respond to such a thing, first thing I need to write like, you know, confidential.
Yes.
But it's kind of like, I don't know, like a star, confidential, star, star, star. It's just that kind of to mark that it is confidential, right?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. The first paragraph is basically just like referring to our meeting, blah, blah, blah. So kind of like, you know, 2 lines, kind of blah, blah, blah.
Correct.
What am I referring to?
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, then I basically put points. And here, as there were 3 questions, so I would just put maybe 3
That's right.
others.
Yes. Yes.
Then I explain all that. And then at the bottom, I put this, what you just mentioned, it's actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
In the limited time I had, those are the points I could think of.
Yes.
If you would need any more inputs, I'm always happy to help.
Exactly. That's a good that's a good way to work through. That's a good way to work through.
Okay.
Because that really carries your professionalism at very hard, and it's a basically way of covering ourselves because we must always look at our own individual self also. So that's fine. So you will put up 1, 2, 3, 4, and then probably once when you start with 1, you will put a heading, put number 1, put a heading. And the heading here will be why we should communicate this decision to employees.
No, I don't know. First, I would say like why and what should we communicate?
Yeah, I will put up for 2 sections for that one. First one I will say why we should communicate, and then I will say the second heading will be what information should be communicated.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Because you know the SEMA examiner's word and is it reflects there's another part to it, another tail to it. So it's always good to take that tail separately. So put 2 headings. Why we should communicate and what information. Otherwise sometimes you might miss that one. So put that 2 headings and then now start thinking about why we should communicate. remember this company and our company, we are just 150 kilometers apart. So that you got it in the very first section, you saw that one. So now you must remember that one, right? In the first 1 hour, we saw that one. So it's just 150 kilometers apart. So now just don't think too much of, heavy stuff. Think, if you are in this company, why should I communicate? Because I'm taking another company 150 kilometers away, and that company is going to produce reality TV programs for another country. Should I communicate? And if at all, why?
Okay.
Yeah. Think like that. Just, take it very light.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So basically, definitely I would just say you have to communicate.
Yeah.
And now, why do you need to communicate?
Yes. Yes.
For the transparency, I mean, I would just maybe tell you everything that I kind of have in my mind, and then afterwards we can structure this.
That's correct. Yeah. Just put up 1, 2, 3, 4 in your scratch pad. Just put 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever that is coming into your mind, and then you will delay to develop. Okay. Good. Okay.
So first of all, we need to be transparent.
Yeah.
Because any kind of acquisitions, I mean, okay, let's put separately. So transparent, because that inspires trust.
Yeah. Yes. Good.
Then the second point would be that probably acquisition with another company will create some, how to say, people will be uncertain about their jobs and their future in the company. So we just need to reassure them that, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So reassure.
Yeah.
Future. And basically, I think in the communication should be also something like, and those are our key milestones. This is what we want to achieve and by when. So at least people are aware about our timeline.
Okay.
So what we need to do and by when.
Okay.
Because I think in those kind of situations, the most important is that people still work and they are not afraid.
Yeah.
And here maybe I can refer to, what was his name?
Who?
Oh, this hygiene and motivational factors.
Yeah, that's right. Yes, sure. Yes. McGregor.
So I can here refer
yes,
so there can be some points for technical knowledge, something.
Okay.
Just to mention that, if you want people to work, we need to first satisfy their lowest, most important needs, and the need is basically security is one of them. And acquisition always comes with uncertainty, and people are always afraid that if we are merging two companies, maybe there's someone else who's doing the same thing as I do in the other company. Maybe my position will be redundant.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, right.
Anything else I should mention here? Because those are just the 3 points I could think of.
Yeah, basically that's good. I think that's good. What I wanted to tell was our employees they are one of our key stakeholders in the company. According to the Mendelow's matrix, our employees in our company, they are key stakeholders. They are part of the key stakeholders. And this is a strategic kind of a strategic move that we are moving into another country with the acquisition of this company Hero to produce reality productions to another country. So it's a strategic move, and therefore strategic move should be always kept informed to our stakeholders, all stakeholders, including our employees.
Okay. Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. So I just need to think. I always forget about. I mean, I know the theory behind it, but yeah, it seems that it is well seen within CIMA to kind of always refer at the beginning to the concepts. And
yes.
Something I always forget.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So just say that they are Mendelow's matrix. They are key stakeholders, and it's a strategic decision we are taking to move into a new market along with ANSOS matrix, and therefore it's relevant that we keep our key stakeholders informed, and employees form part of them, and therefore we should inform them, right? And what you said was very correct, all about, their security, all that kind of a thing. And also about the timing, all that is also a very good thing what you mentioned. And also you must say the specific benefits that could come into our employees, because there may be new openings of promotions, etc. So that will keep them very cool, calm, happy to know that whenever there's an acquisition happening, the acquiring company employees will be in a better position to take up certain promotions which otherwise they will not have in our Everstar, because now with the Hiru coming up, some of our senior people might get positions in that place. But for the people in the Hiru company, there may be a little bit of a threat, because some of those people, they might lose their job. So that's something that we probably want to look at. We don't want to talk about the Hiru company employees, but we want to talk about our company employees, the possible opportunities they might have it. Also, we have to understand we are just 150 kilometers away, and therefore, with the speed of information, with all that what's happening in the modern world, it's not too ethical or healthy to keep it away from the employees, because in any way they will come to know, and it is good for us to be full of integrity, transparent, in accordance with SEMA Code of Ethics.
Okay.
So that should be all right for the first part of it. Now we must.
So I guess 70% of marks for this one.
Pardon?
So I guess I would cover like 70% or maybe 80%.
Yeah. Yes. Right.
Okay, but it's always better than 50, so it's okay.
Yeah, definitely. So so long as you get more than 50, it's all right. So just keep on doing, and you should be all right. Next part is all about what information should be presented. Now, whenever presenting employees, the information to employees, the communication is very important, because the people will look at it lot of suspicion, lot of doubt about the information that we are going to give. So one thing is we must be truthful, we must be transparent. So now we have to decide what information should be given.
Yeah, just thinking about what my company was doing before.
Yeah, very good. That's a good way to think. That's always a good thing. Look at your own experiences, because that you can apply it very well to any of these case studies.
Yeah. So I just remember the first communication when they acquired another company. It was like explanation. First of all, like why did they do it?
Yes.
What are the benefits for the company?
Right. Good.
Like explanation of the company itself, just that people have the context.
Yeah.
What else? And then they were sharing the milestones. So
yeah,
this is basically what we are going to do. We are going to set up a project team.
Yeah.
Till that time it should be done, and those kind of things.
Very good. I think that's the kind of a thing you can develop, and you can put up a very, very good answer on that kind of a thing. Because communication to employees should be done through a staff newspaper. That is also a very good thing for you to mention, because communicating to employees, it must be very consistent. If you try to communicate in different forums, you might miss something. So ideally a communication like this should come from the CEO, and it should be to the staff newspaper.
We were doing always via town halls. So basically that was like, we were doing that usually via town halls.
Okay.
That was how they were calling. So basically the whole building was coming to one place, and then there was the regional CEO was explained, not the big CEO, but the regional one.
That's all right. It all depends on the size of the company. If you can bring all the people into one place, then one voice you can communicate. But a better maybe to put in the newsletter kind of a thing, so that it has to be very clearly defined, designed, carefully done. But so that otherwise sometimes even what we say in a forum can be misinterpreted. But if you can put very clearly designed, defined thing on a newsletter, that is much more safer, rather than even, because sometimes I have seen, we go with the idea of telling something, suddenly, we might miss one point, and that can be a very vital point. Because the unions,
Yes.
all these people, they are always there to attack us on something which we miss. So it's always good
Yes,
in a
this is
situation
what
like
I
this.
would do.
Hmm?
I would basically I would do the town hall because I think it's always better if you have a personal interaction with people.
Okay.
Then I will do the Q&A session at the end.
Yeah.
And then afterwards I'll issue an email to everyone.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, you can send an email to all the people, same email, so that it is consistent. So no one will say that, Justina told me something, Justina told another thing to another person, kind of a thing. And the idea is to make all our employees aware that the opportunity that it presents to Everstar of moving into another country altogether, because we are dependent on the 4 programs what we are doing. So this is an opportunity for Everstar to move. So that is the first thing we must say. It's an opportunity for Everstar, not for the employees, but for the opportunity for the Everstar. This is going to create a wider market for Everstar, and it's going to promote our brand in another country. So these are the kind, and this will bring further security to our employees in the long term. You understand, right? If something goes wrong in our own country, at least we have another company that is doing well. So in the long term, our own employees will have much more security. So we must demonstrate the long-term potential to our employees, and that will encourage employee retention, because the people will now feel, okay, it's not 4 programs. Now they are going to have more programs in another land. So we are having a kind of a protection, so that we should not be looking for jobs elsewhere. And we must ensure, we must communicate to say that we are a growing company. We are a growing company. We are developing businesses in other parts of the world. This is our very first opportunity to move out. Now that kind of a communication coming from CEO to your own employees about the possible acquisition of Hero is going to be something which is very, very strong, and that is going to promote lot of goodwill amongst our employees, and they will have lot of confidence in the board of directors, and they will know this board is some board that is really taking this company to the next level. So also we can now talk about the growth opportunities for our own employees, and we must appreciate the role that they have played and the roles that they will be playing in the future with the acquisition of Hero. So also finally what we can say is the importance of our employees, and that is why we have taken the decision to communicate. We value their input, we value their contribution, all that, and this is why we have taken this decision to communicate. So that should be the thing we must give. Finally, we must give a kind of assurance to employees that there will be continuous investment and focus will be upon employee welfare, high standards of treatment, but we have maintained all the time strong cultural and strong ethos of our company will be continued even after the acquisition. Now imagine all what I mentioned, all what you mentioned, if you are an employee of the company and that company is taking another company, and when it is communicated to that in that form by your CEO or whoever, how will you feel? How will you feel? Isn't it? You feel very well. You feel, this company is growing. My security is established. Uh, I don't need to look for another new job. This is what we should be communicating to our employees. This is what we should be communicating to our employees. That kind of a communication is going to make employees very, very, secure. Because finally, all what we do, whenever we communicate something, it must bring a purpose to our company. It must bring something beneficial to our company. Otherwise, don't communicate. So this kind of a very strong kind of a thing can come up. In fact, it may be another question, I don't know, asking you to draft this communication. Here we are asking, the question what they're asking is and what information should board present. They might even ask you to draft the communication to the email to be sent to the employees. Same thing, you will put it up in a different way. Right. So that's the second part. Now let's look at the third part. Identify the risk involved in the process of integrating our employees with Hiru employees, considering strong company ethos and culture of our company. So what do you mean by our strong ethos and culture?
Okay, so it basically means that we need to integrate two companies that kind of like spread our vision and mission to that company. Yes, so we have the common business objective.
Yeah.
It's actually.
Yeah.
Yep. So that would be kind of like the first point I will mention here.
Okay.
And then the other risk I would mention is definitely, like I will mention the cultural thing.
Yeah.
Because the companies, they work together differently.
Yeah.
And
so because ours is a listed company, theirs is an unlisted company.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I have forgotten about that. Okay.
Yeah, always. Yeah. Now those are the things that will come up in your head, because we have to always remember in the pre-scene, ours is a listed company. We do not know, because we have put up this mark with an unlisted company. Maybe in the question it may be a listed company, so we be careful of what we have in the unseen and to work through the unseen. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm just typing.
Okay.
Okay, so we mentioned about the common objectives, about the cultural change.
Yeah.
Risk about.
Yeah, because look at the question. What we are trying to look at is the risk involved. The risk involved in the process of integrating the two sets of employees. Ours is a very, strong company ethos and culture. You remember in the second section, it was all about these people had a hire and fire policy kind of a thing. Don't forget that one. So their culture was totally different from our culture. So the risk involved in bringing these two parties together, or the marriage of the two parties, what are the risks involved, because you are coming from two different cultures.
Yeah, so I mean, we'll say about the culture, and then you can mention about the integration of the policies and procedures.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so like you mentioned about the HR.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know, something like a different style of working, but it's for me, it's everything about the cultural differences, right?
Yeah.
The different style of working is basically that, we value quality, and they just take the cheapest employees possible. So.
Yeah. So basically, if we were to answer this part of the question, we must talk about our culture and our ethos, which is basically when we say a strong company ethos and strong culture means we are strongly focused upon strong ethical principles and behavior of our employees towards our key stakeholders, customers, and suppliers, and the participants, all that. So that is what strong culture and ethos means. What it means is that we have very strong ethical principles. Our company is working on very strong ethical principles of behavior towards our people, customers, our participants, all that, because this is a very sensitive area. We are getting these participants from all over the country, and they come and participate in reality concerts and all that kind of a thing. So there can be a lot of abuse of, these participants coming. They come from very poor background sometimes. They may be beautiful females, beautiful males. There can be a lot of abuse by some of our judges, some of these so-called organizers. When they come, they can be, abused in different ways. So our strong culture really protects them from that kind of situations. And that is what we have to maintain with the other company also, because remember, in the other company, they are just having hire and fire. So they may not be having any kind of a commitment for good culture, that kind of a thing. Because I remember in Sri Lanka, we have these reality shows. There were a couple of complaints here and there, production, the director of production, wanting a kind of sexual bribes to, put them on the competitions, all that kind of a thing. Judges wanting them to come to their particular music school or singing school or something like that. And all sorts of, these competitions are a dirty thing in the society. Competitions bring lot of, kind of disunity in the society, and there can be many, many unethical things happening. So by saying strong cultures, what we means is, by strong ethical standards, we have very set behavior standards for our employees in relation to these productions, etc. Which may not be the case with our company which we are acquiring. So because of that, there can be a risk of those bad things spreading to our company. Those bad cultures, bad ethical practices of other company spreading into our company is one of the biggest risks when we have this kind of a acquisition happening. Because we are a very strong ethical company. That company has no employee commitment. They are hire and fire employees. So the people who come will not be very committed for any ethical things. They will try to make quick money, either way in form of bribes or whatever it may be. And that can be a bit of a bad news for integration like a company between these two. Also, we are a listed company. We are governed by strong corporate governance principles. Hiru is an unlisted company. They may not be governed by any corporate governance principles. And therefore, there can be huge risks in integrating the two sets of employees into one unit or one family, because we will be on corporate governance, they may not be on good corporate governance. We are a company that works very strongly on employee culture, very strongly on employee relationships. So therefore, we are providing lot of training, investment on training, whereas Hiru is a company that employs people on hire and fire, no training expenditure involved. This is I'm getting from the second section, which you will remember. Right? Which you'll remember. So they are not spending any money on, not too much of money on training, all that. So their commitment for employment will not be too high as much as our employees, and that kind of a mix-up can create a risk to our own employees. Their behavior, their lack of commitment can spread into our company too, our employees too. Also, at times, it may be difficult to train their staff, because they are they will not even understand the need for training. And that may be another risk that we face in the integration. It will be very, very difficult to bring them into the training process because they may not even understand the need for training. Another risk will be a kind of lack of team building. The teamwork may not be there in Hero because they don't believe in working on long term. So there may not be any team building, team support, team cooperation. And that also can be a kind of a risk because we are a company that works on strong team building culture, and those things can get vanished with the influence of those employees. Obviously, Hero has a very high staff turnover, and that could be another very big risk for when we take over, because there will be a lot of additional cost on recruitment and training. We don't have at the moment, our people are very loyal, they work for long periods, but here we are going to recruit people almost every day. So recruitment and training costs can be very, very high, and that can be a big risk. So these are my points for that third section. You will see I'm not putting too much of, just textbook stuff. I'm just putting all basically the common sense approaches that can come up when you try to marry from two different cultures. Now finally, how can we overcome employee integration challenges? How can we overcome employee integration challenges?
So here it's definitely about E2, and this is the change management.
Yes. Definitely, yes.
So I think I would just write something like, to be. Well, firstly, I would just say what is actually needed.
Yeah.
So, like, key points.
Yeah.
Then what's the time frame?
Yeah.
Of those kind of things. Then definitely we need to focus on creating the proper project team.
Yeah. Yes.
So that we have a transparent split of responsibilities of each of the team members.
Okay.
Additionally, there should be a change agent.
Yeah. Very good. That's a good one. That's a good point. Change agent, because you need a change agent here. Definitely.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. What else?
Integration. And definitely in I would include in the project team there should be people from both companies working together, so that people, there has to be experienced people from both companies, so that we can pass our knowledge, our expertise to them and get their point of view.
Yeah.
And they will know actually how to implement all those things because they know the culture and everything.
Yeah. Yeah, good, I think. Yeah, basically, one of the important things that with the change agent we must do is we have to get our Hero employees undergo an induction training program, which will introduce them to our Everstar culture and ethos. Right. So the employees of Hero should undergo induction training, which will introduce them to our culture and ethos.
Okay.
Induction activities should include training in range of reality productions, including safety training, because this is a very risky setup. So safety training also should get involved in the induction training. As you rightly said, it must be done through a change agent, and it must be done as soon as possible after the acquisition, so that Hiru employees will be fully compliant with our customer care standards, with our health standards. And also it must be continuous, ongoing training all the time in health and safety management.
Okay.
A code of conduct such as CIMA should be introduced to...
Why is that now?
What is that?
Why I mean, I would basically mention about the corporate governance, but why the CIMA code of...
Yeah, because the code of conduct is the code of conduct only tells us the behavior norms, what is expected of an employee. Every company has a code of conduct. That code of conduct tells, even to the extent of saying how you should be dressed, how you must behave in reality productions, how you must be maintaining dignity of the company, all that is in that code of conduct. Because for the employee, it's not the corporate governance. The corporate governance is mostly at the director's level. Employees, it is the code of conduct. So we must design a code of conduct similar to what we have in our company, the Everstar. We must design a code of conduct and give that to all the people, refresh them on that one, and keep them all the time into that code of conduct, so that no one will go out of some into the wilderness and do something really crazy. This time in the management case study, it's about a film industry. The one of the mocks that was talking about was all about actor, the main role cast trying to be abusive with some of the co-stars, the females. Now, when you have a code of conduct, everyone knows what kind of behavior is expected of you. So they will know that, not to go and influence the judges, not to go and, harass the participants, not to go and, take bribes from the participants promising various things. That code of conduct will give everything. So that's what we should be introducing to Hiru. Hiru is coming from a different culture. They have never gone a thing like this. So that's a kind of a thing that should be given. Because that is part of our corporate social responsibility, and this will ensure a good code of conduct to Hiru employees, learn in line with our Everstar employees, will ensure high standards in Hiru employees and in Hiru productions. Also, you remember we were discussing about team building skills. So our Hiru employees must be given training in team building skills, because I don't think they are working on teams at the moment, on team building skills, because it is a critical success factor for our company, and therefore we should encourage them also to get committed to that kind of team building. They must be provided with a kind of a mentor from our company, from Everstar, who can be a very experienced person from Everstar, who will be the mentor to Hero to bring Hero into Everstar standards, Everstar culture. And this could be, effectively used, because I have seen in some companies which I have acquired, I saw it's good to put one of our mature people to work in that company, and the employees can come ask any questions, like a fatherly figure, who will have a lot of patience to hear their grievances, listen to them, and gradually you can bring them into our culture to understand. And when the two cultures are different, it's very, very difficult. It's like bringing very cultured family children and mixing up with the uncultured children of another family. And you can see the negative effects of the whole thing. So the way forward is to bring those uncultured people into the culture, and for that purpose you need some kind of a fatherly figure who can advise, who can be consulted. This is the way, these are the practical things what I have done in my life, and which has brought the desired results, and I believe this is the way for us to go forward. Generally, you must take, when you are doing this kind of training, you must take a kind of a informal approach, a less formal approach. The more you take formal approaches, getting them into some kind of a military kind of a exercise, they resist it. Get them in through very informal approaches. Try to get them into a kind of approach where they can talk to you very informally, no appointments necessary. That kind of approach is the ideal way to get these cultures really right, mixed up, and work in the right direction. Because you have to understand there's always resistance. So to get away from the resistance, the ideal way is to have a very informal approach. So these are my points, which I will put it up on this last paragraph. Finally, probably we want to say, as I said, with the limited time that was available, understanding your urgency. I have put out all thoughts in my head on this little paper. But if you need anything more, I'm more willing to cooperate and to work and to give you any input that you require. Any questions that you have?
No, I'm just thinking, you basically mentioned that answer should be around, I don't know, page and a half, up to 2 pages,
Yeah.
right?
Yes, yes. Maximum 2 pages. I think it's 1.5 is ideal. Because we have 60 minutes. So now if you look at this question, 60 minutes, as I said, you will take about 20 minutes to read the question, 5 minutes probably for, 15 minutes to read the question, plan the answer, 5 minutes for final wrapping up, keep the 20 minutes, then we are left with 40 minutes. There are 4 tasks here. Each task I will take 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 minutes and write it. I might find for the first task 10 minutes is not enough, but I will stop it at the 10th minute, go to the second task, 11 to 20 minutes. So, but I might find in that task I don't need the 10 minutes, I need only 7 minutes. Then I'll go to the third one, right? I might think you might want 10 minutes, okay, you will write. Fourth one, when I go, you might find I don't need all the 10 minutes, I need only 8 minutes. So I have now another 5 minutes left over. With that, I can go and write back in the first task, whatever that I feel I can more write, I will write it. That's the idea, so that you tackle all 4 tasks. So first task is you to identify what are the tasks. Now here, that is, I think in most of the strategic case study exams, management case study exams, the students find it extremely difficult or they might miss one point. Now here, look at this question. I would like to advise why we should communicate and what information should. So 2. I would also like you to identify the risk involved in the process and culture. And lastly, I would like your advice on how these integration challenges could be overcome. So we have to answer all 4 areas. If we just write lot on the why we should communicate, and if we don't write anything on the how we can work through the integration challenges, 25% of this section you will lose the marks. So you must ensure that in every area you cover up your marks. That's the way for you to go forward, and that's the idea that you must have whenever we look at a strategic case study question like this. So if I remember the marking scheme for this one, basically in the section 3, advice on the likely impact of section 3, yeah, just a minute, section 3. I just want to see what are the marking scheme for this one. Yeah, the marking scheme for this one, advice on the basically on this last part where we had to do something like advising them on yeah. Now the technical skills, it came up on the advices what we had to give on the first section about the risk and benefits what we had to look at. So those were the first things what we get. So generally we are tested on 4 skills: technical, business, people, leadership skills. In certain areas we are tested on the leadership skills, certain areas we are tested on other skills. So we have to be very careful on to see what area, but this is one thing sadly we do not know when we go and sit for the exam. So here we have to look at, if you really look at the idea here, it was about the final part of the question. It was all about the risk involved in the process of integrating. Now there probably you will have lot of technical skills coming up, and also about the to present our employees why we decided to undertake this major acquisition. That is what we call people skills. We are going to communicate to the board why we should inform our employees. So that is our communication skills that is being tested. So that is what we call people skills. So like that we have to look at. So generally what we get is you get about 8 to 9 marks on what we call integration. I think it's 9 marks now. The wrapping up, you get 9 marks. 91 marks are given for other areas. The leadership skills, business skills, and all that. So generally, it's about 23% for technical skills, 23% for business skills, 23% for people skills, 23% for leadership skills, and 8% for integration. That's how your marks will get collected. But as I said, none of us know how they do it, but we know that's the way that they work it through.
Okay. And by the way, usually when you have this kind of question, how many tasks, or however it's called?
Normally it's about 3 tasks. It's about 3 tasks. It can be 4, as in this case.
Okay.
Yeah. It all depends. Sometimes, because I've never more than 4 so far. Never more than 4, but it can be 2 or 3. Mostly 3 tasks I have seen.
Okay. Yeah, because I was doing the Astranti mocks. I mean, not all of them.
Yeah.
At least 3.
Yeah.
Ooh la la.
Yeah.
It's like they 5 usually.
Yes. Yes.
I can understand now why you are so, how to say, you have such an opinion about them, because the more I'm into this, I really understand. I mean,
yeah,
it's a lot of the
basically I have
blah, blah,
prepared
blah.
all on basis of the past papers. I have gone by the past papers. I have prepared it because you should not get burdened yourself. We have to look at, because we have been successful in our students. It's just a matter of working. Don't try to, because I have nothing this thing, but I believe that he goes little too much and exerts lot of pressure on the student, and sometimes it's too much. Just that's why I always encourage, just go to SIMA Connect, look at the past papers, look at a very particular exam, maybe one particular exam, look at the 5 variants, look at the questions, look at the answers. You might get an idea what kind of questions will come.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So we have a session again on tomorrow, yeah. Tomorrow, 11:30 your time, my time 4 o'clock. We will meet.
Yes.
And we have done the 3 marks of this one. It is completed now. So it's gone.
Mm-hmm.
So we will start on a new one. I will send you a new mark tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah. We will look at something different maybe in tomorrow's one. So I'll see you tomorrow at 11:30 your time, Justina.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a great day. Bye.